Hi guys, welcome to the Wrestling Retrospective, and in this video I'll be reviewing AEW Revolution. So first up we had Ricky Starks defeating Chris Jericho. I thought this was a really quality match, good wrestling throughout. I was surprised that there was no shenanigans. I know that Sammy Guevara came out, but then Action Andretti took him out anyway, and they didn't really get involved in the match at all. Ricky went clean over Jericho again. This is the second time this has happened, which I think is a huge win for Ricky Starks. I think for Ricky, I feel like he's going to go more towards the championship, whether it be back towards the world title or towards the TNT title. Either way, I think it'd be a great fit for the TNT championship picture. Not sure if he's quite ready to be at the world title picture yet. As for Chris Jericho, I'm not sure where he goes from here. Probably just another feud against somebody, but I'm not sure kind of who with or anything like that. I worry that the JS is getting a bit stale, but then if anything does start to feel a bit stale, Jericho tends to reinvent himself once again, so maybe that's in the lines for him. But as an overall great match, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good way to open the show, and yeah, a huge win for Ricky Starks. Following that, we had Jungle Boy defeat Christian Cage in a final burial match. I thought this was had the most emotion of all the matches on the card. But it was still really good. Not sure on the stipulation. I don't quite see how this helps Christian's case when he's just got back from injury, if he kind of stays off TV or not. Whether he just comes back next week, I'm not sure. But the way that casket fell looked like it just fell straight to the floor and smashed. It was brutal. It looked like it was going to be brutal, to be fair. But it said I'm a big fan of Christian Cage. Oh, I prefer Christian to Jungle Boy, though I knew that Jungle Boy was going to get the win here. It did feel, but I am worried, as I said, about where he goes next and whether he is going to be off TV again. Hopefully not. But the match itself, I think it wasn't as violent as I thought it was going to be, but with a Texas Death Match on the same card, I'm not sure whether they were saving it all for that match, because that match was pretty hardcore. But as I say, it didn't really take away from the match. They were just very quickly ended up near the casket, and but yeah, I think it was a decent match. It didn't disappoint in any way. I was just expecting more of a blood-filled, hardcore kind of match for these two, as how personal the rivalry has been. But yeah, as I said, not sure where Christian goes from here. But as for Jungle Boy, I can see him going towards the TNT Championship in the very near future. I can't see him facing Wardlow. I think maybe if Wardlow is defeated by a heel, then Jungle Boy would probably go towards it then. Though I think Wardlow versus Jungle Boy would be a pretty good match in fairness, but with Wardlow just winning the TNT title, I can't see him dropping it anytime soon. So but yeah, it's a decent match, not as brutal as I thought it was going to be, but it didn't take away from the match. Following that, we had the House of Black defeat the Elite to become the new Trios World Tag Team Champions. I thought this was an awesome match. I'm buzzing about the result. Love the House of Black. So with them being champions, hopefully they'll be on telly a lot more than they have been. And just the match itself was really, really good. I'd probably say it was the second best match of the night in my opinion, but was fantastic throughout. You could see that they had really good chemistry, and it didn't matter which individuals in the ring at that time, all 6 of them had chemistry together, which I really, really liked. And hopefully, with the House of Black winning, they can kind of have a dominant reign with the trios titles. The reigns so far haven't been too long. I know the first reign isn't the Elite's fault really, that they got stripped. Death Triangle happened for a fair bit, but then it kind of became obvious as soon as the Best of 7 series started that they were going to lose them at the end, in my opinion. But yeah, I think the question is what the Elite do after this. I'm very unsure. I'm hoping that this rivalry maybe carries on for a bit longer. Maybe they have a special Dynamite where they main event and the House of Black retain the titles against them again. I'd love to see a one-on-one match between Malachi Black and Kenny Omega. I feel that'd be really, really good. So yeah, I think that's pretty much all I've got to say on that one. I really enjoyed it. Second best match of the night in my opinion, and House of Black winning made me very, very happy. Next up, we had Jamie Hayter defeat Saraya and Ruby Soho to retain the AEW Women's World Championship. I thought this match was really good. Action throughout, exactly how I expected it to go. It kind of didn't slow down at all, which I very much enjoyed. But yeah, I think the only negative I really have about this one is the fact that it kind of abruptly finished. but it wasn't a major issue for me. I'm still very happy that Jamie Hayter's still champion. I'd probably say at the minute she's my favourite wrestler in wrestling altogether, in AEW and WWE, everything like that. She's probably my favourite. I've been really enjoying her matches. You know, match against Shida was fantastic. She even got a good match out of the Bunny, which I'm surprised about because I'm not really a big fan of the Bunny. I said this was good. I said the only thing wrong was the abrupt finish in my opinion. But it kind of all kicked off after the match with Ruby Soho seeming like she's going to side with Hayter and Britt Baker, and then she turned and joined Saraya and Toni Storm's little group. I genuinely am hoping for a Blood and Guts match between the women. I can see them having like let's say the 5-on-5 Blood and Guts match in a few months. I think it's June that Blood and Guts comes around. And I was trying to put together who would be in this match. And the match I've come up with is Hayter, Baker, Shida, Cargill and Nyla. Because I think those 5 are pretty much established in AEW. Especially Jade Cargill. I don't think anyone's more homegrown than Jade Cargill. Plus we get her in a storyline properly. There's been rumours coming out that Cargill was supposed to lose the title to Chris Statlander, but she got injured, and they're waiting for Statlander to come back to kind of pull the trigger on that. But I think this would be a really good match to have kind of the TBS champion and the AEW Women's World Champion, both homegrown talents, tag together and take on a outsiders kind of group. And my team for outsiders would be Saraya, Storm, Soho, obviously. I think Athena would fit really well into this match as well, especially if she's been more aggressive since she's turned heel. And I know she's not like WWE outside, but I would put Thunder Rosa in the outsiders team because obviously she was in NWA. She did a one-off match at Impact as well. She's not AEW original in my opinion, so I think she fit quite well. And obviously she does have history with Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker when she was world champion. So I think that match altogether I think would make a really good Blood and Guts match. But back to this match, and I said it was really good action throughout as I thought it would. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing who Jamie Hayter faces next. I said if I had to guess, I think it'd probably be a returning Thunder Rosa, or she takes on Soho one-on-one maybe. But either way, I'm sure it will be very, very good. Following that, we had Hangman Adam Page defeat Jon Moxley in a Texas Death Match. I love this match a lot. I enjoyed the violence, the blood, the stupid amounts of destruction there was. It had everything that I liked in a match, especially one like this, the kind of hardcore, no holds barred, no DQ, etc. type of match. In my opinion, the right guy won in a brutal fashion with him choking out Moxley with a chain. I'd said absolutely brutal, but again, really enjoyable. Some of the shit these two did to each other, would have put others in the hospital for months probably, and I'm genuinely hoping that Moxley gets this holiday he'd talked about all them months ago after this, because he bloody deserved it. He had a holy shit moment after holy shit moment, when Moxley went out of the ring and landed in the barbed wire, but didn't realise at first. Then you saw the look on his face when he realised that he had a back full of barbed wire. The constant use of bricks was a surprising one. It's one I've not seen in wrestling before, not to recent memory anyway. So that definitely took me by surprise. Obviously the finish as well, the choking with a chain, and just everything in between. The stuff with the fork had me touching my head constantly, just because you could feel it, or at least I could through the screen. It was horrible, and the way Hangman just burst blood-wise afterwards. I think Hangman didn't bleed as much as I thought he was going to. Jon Moxley bled about as much as he could. Knowing Jon Moxley and knowing that he bleeds, when he gets punched, let alone when bricks are involved. But yeah, I think this continues to establish Hangman as a badass motherfucker in my opinion. And yeah, I'd love to see him face MJF, to be fair, next for the AEW World Championship. I don't think he'll win. I think that MJF will go on this reign of terror he talks about. But I'd like to see a MJF Hangman match. I think it'll be really good. Like I said, this match blew me away, and by far my favourite match of the night, with House of Black and the Elite coming not very, kind of close second. But this I enjoyed throughout. I couldn't stop watching. Didn't want to blink throughout because I just loved it. It wouldn't surprise me if this ended up being my match of the year, to be fair. But as I said, really good win for Hangman, and hopefully this puts him back into the main event scene and maybe puts him more towards the AEW World title. So following that, we had Wardlow defeat Samoa Joe to become the new TNT champion. I thought this was a decent match, I enjoyed it. Not really much to say about this one. It went kind of how I thought it would. I think the only surprise in it was Wardlow passing out Samoa Joe, which I was very surprised about, especially with his kind of own finishing submission as well. But for me, I feel like what's next for these two are Samoa Joe is going to concentrate more on Ring of Honor, especially as he is the Ring of Honor TV champion. And Wardlow goes on to face Hobbs on Dynamite this week, well tomorrow. And I think he'll retain in that one. I can't see him dropping the belt already. I feel like he's going to have quite a long run with the title. Hopefully it'll be better than his first run as well. The more I see Wardlow, the more he's like a much better Batista. That's all I see when I watch him wrestle. It's just Batista, but a lot better and a lot more athletic. But I'm saying it's not necessarily a bad thing. Obviously Batista became a very, very good world champion, and I can see Wardlow becoming world champion, but in a fair while's time. Samoa Joe, I think, is going to concentrate on Ring of Honor. I can't see him really doing anything else other than that until he loses the television championship, and then maybe comes back to AEW after that. But as I said, it was a decent match. I enjoyed it. No real complaints. It just kind of went exactly how I thought it did. So, like I said, Wardlow, new TNT champion. Next up, we had the Guns defeat the Acclaimed, Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett, and Orange Cassidy and Danhausen to retain the AEW World Tag Team Championships. I didn't really enjoy this one. I found it very scrappy. Kind of, it was hard to concentrate on who was legal in the ring, what was going on most of the time. I also hate this rule of having two people in the ring when it's a fatal four-way or triple threat tag team match. There should be one of each member of the team in the ring at once instead of just two. It doesn't make any sense about why you would have only two in the ring at once when there's multiple teams. I mean, sometimes it works. It worked with the triple threat between Jurassic Express, The Elite and Red Dragon at last year's Revolution. But here, it didn't really work for me. I found myself getting quite distracted by all stuff going on, like my phone or getting something to eat, stuff like that. I'm not saying I didn't concentrate on it. I did, or else, I wouldn't be doing this YouTube. But it didn't intrigue me. I think one big part of it was I wasn't majorly interested in this match. I'm not interested in the Guns or Ethan Barrett or Cassidy and Danhausen, as popular as they are. I was hoping the Acclaim were going to win, but I knew they wouldn't. But then at the end of the match, FTR returned, and I'm so happy they're back, and it was about time they came back. As I said in the predictions video, it didn't make any sense why they weren't in this match to begin with, but having them back now, hopefully they're the ones that dethrone the Guns. But yeah, I said they came back, dropped one of them on their head, and somehow Dax ended up bleeding, which I'm not sure how the hell that happened, but it did look really cool as a visual. But yeah, hopefully pretty soon FTR are going to take those tag titles from the Guns, or they might save it to Double or Nothing, I'm not sure. But as I said, this match, it was alright, but it didn't really interest me, and I found it very hard to keep watching it. And yes, I didn't enjoy it, unfortunately. But as I said, the Guns retain and FTR are back. And finally, in the main event, we had MJF defeat Bryan Danielson 4-3 in an Iron Man match. I'm going to start by saying I'm not a massive fan of Iron Man matches. I very rarely find myself watching one. It's just kind of, I always dread them because they always feel long, and I worry I'll get distracted or stuff. But this was good. It didn't distract me this one. I didn't get distracted during this one. I did genuinely enjoy it. I was surprised there wasn't a fall within the first 10 minutes or in the first 5 minutes. I thought MJF might get himself disqualified early. He would eventually do that. I think I enjoyed the fact that we had a quick fall, 4 falls. I know I struggled to say that. But yeah, I think it was good. MJF bled stupid amounts for a headbutt. I think that's what he took. He took a headbutt and he just bled like loads. The sudden death part was really intense. That was probably my favourite part of the match, and I'm sure a lot of people will agree with me on that one. And the surprising part of MJF tapping out Danielson with his own Rebel Lock, which was a shock for me. I generally thought that he was going to use his own submission, and for Danielson to tap out to his own submission, I think is a kind of almost like a show of respect to MJF, in my opinion. That's how I saw it anyway. But MJF proves that he can wrestle properly, can technical wrestle, and as he said during the media scrum, he wants people to stop saying he's just a guy who can cut promos and that he can wrestle. Because I think he proved it here. I think he's proved it before. He had a really good match with Darby Allin. I think it was at Revolution last year or a couple of years ago. I know he had a match with Darby Allin on pay-per-view, it was really good. And yeah, I think that this was a real big proving ground for him, though he didn't feel like he probably needed to prove himself. Where Danielson goes from here, I'm unsure actually, to be fair. I'll probably just go into a feud with somebody else, I'm not sure who, but I'm sure either way it'll be very good. I don't know whether he might reconnect with the Blackpool Combat Club, but he seems to be quite far gone from them nowadays. As for MJF, I can see him feuding with Hangman next, or maybe somebody else, I'm not sure exactly who, but either way I'm sure it'll be very good. I would very much prefer it to be Hangman. I think that'll be a really good match. But yeah, I said for a match that I was dreading due to the stipulation, I actually quite enjoyed it. It wasn't one of the best matches in my opinion, but it served its purpose and I thought it was befitting of the main event. And yeah, I actually enjoyed it, to be fair, I'll go and say. I enjoyed it. It hasn't really changed my opinion on Iron Man matches, but you know, I'd be open to seeing another one if it's these kind of competitors. But yeah, as I said, MJF is still the AEW World Champion. So those are my thoughts and opinions on AEW Revolution 2023. I thought overall it was a really good show. I did enjoy it. I know a lot of people online were not looking forward to it, but I thought it really delivered. Some very good matches. You know, Texas Death match, Final Burial match I thought were good. House of Black and the Elite, and of course the Iron Man match was really good. So yeah, do comment down below what your favourite match was and what you think is going to happen next with AEW as far as feuds and stuff like that go. And of course, in a couple of months in May we've got Double or Nothing, which I think will be really good as well. Plus that weekend will be very busy as we've got a WWE pay-per-view and an AEW pay-per-view. So that'll be a busy weekend for the channel. But for now, I'll ask you to leave a comment down below and like the video, share the video, subscribe as well. And as you can see in the corner, oh my god, in the corner there, I knew I'd get that wrong. I'm going to start kind of counting my predictions, see how many I've got right throughout the year. Obviously this time I've got 7 out of 8, which I think is pretty damn good in fairness. I'll be doing this for AEW and WWE to see which I statistically get more right for. I'll kind of do an overall review at the end of the year kind of thing. But yeah, for now, as I said, like, subscribe, comment down below your favourite matches of the night and maybe even some feedback for me. But I will see you guys later on.